Hi guys, it's either welcome or welcome back to my channel. I'm Kiosha. I'm a lawyer that doesn't practice. I'm a mid-level government bureaucrat, and I'm just someone who moonlights in creativity. And today I'm going to be reviewing episode 9 of Married at First Sight Houston. If you have been watching my channel for a little bit, I do these reviews weekly. I did miss last week's review because I had sinus surgery and it was just really gross for a while, and I just didn't feel like getting on camera or doing anything. So I thought about making up last week's episode. I still might, I don't know. But for now, we're gonna move on to this week's review, right? The format is I'm just gonna kind of go couple by couple. I'm gonna start with Brett and Ryan, work my way through the couples, maybe hit on the barbecue at Jose's house, and then, you know, wrap it up. That'll be it. So as always, I have my notebook, I have my pen just to make sure I'm keeping place. And this week we are going to start with Brett and Ryan. And basically, right, to sum this couple up, like I've been saying from the beginning, Ryan is not into Brett. Period. He's not into Brett. They dug a little more deeper, kind of into his background, kind of into her background, and you know, we're going to talk about that. But just the bottom line is Ryan isn't into Brett, and I don't think he's going to be able to get into Brett by the end of these 8 weeks. It sucks for her, you know, absolutely. She seems like such a nice woman, but he's just not into it. You know, what's the name of that movie or book and movie? He's just not that into you. That is the case. It's just unfortunate that it is now her husband. So they were playing the experts kind of sent all of the couples like this question game to play. And so they were playing the question game, and it comes out that Ryan said, and I think he's kind of continually said it at this point, that he just doesn't feel the sparks. Or did he say this? I can't remember if he said this to Brett or if he said this in a confessional, but he basically said he doesn't feel the sparks, but then normally he falls in love pretty quickly. This episode was really confusing with regards to Ryan, because in past episodes when we met his family, they all said he fell in love super quickly, but then right in front of Brett's face, when they were having deep conversations about him falling in love, it comes out that the 2 times, or he's only been in love twice, and that the times that he's blown it were when like the girl was absolutely into him and then he wasn't into her, but then he came around at the last moment and then he was into her, but then it was too late. And it's just kind of like Ryan's storyline is really blurry to me. If you understand it, maybe you can explain it to me down below, but like, do you fall in love easily? Do you not fall in love easily? Are you jaded? Like, I'm not understanding. I do know for sure that like he's not into Brett, but like, what's your deal? Like, are you lying? Are you forgetting what you've said? Are you forgetting your whole background and your setup for the show? Like, what's up? So that was really confusing for me. But what was not confusing for me was Ryan's lack of feelings for Brett, right? And you can tell Brett knows that he's not into her, but I think now I think she knew it kind of deep down, but I think now maybe she's kind of starting to allow herself to believe it externally. Because you can absolutely see the disappointment on her face, like when they're having the conversations about has his feelings come yet. You can see the disappointment. You can see her deflate. You can see just, you know, a hint of sadness on her brow. And I mean, it does really suck. But again, excuse me, if you've been watching these reviews and if you go back, I said this-ish from the beginning. I don't know what it is about Ryan. I don't know if he's jaded. I don't know if he's done too much. But I knew it from the moment that he met Brett that he was not into her. He was attracted to her, but he was not into her. You can be attracted to somebody and totally not be into them, right? And so honestly, it wasn't too much with this couple really in this episode. It was basically the whole, it was basically them hammering out the fact that like Ryan's just not into her. He told Brett straight to her face. He told her, she asked him how he feels, and he said that they're just not there yet, physically or emotionally. And I don't know what to do with that. Like, I agree with the experts that maybe they could find ways to possibly find attraction. I'm not a licensed relationship expert, so, I don't know what those would be, but I'm sure if Ryan went and talked to the experts and asked them to help him try to figure out how to become attracted to his wife, I'm sure he could do that. He just doesn't. And like we saw in this episode, he opened up a lot. He has a lot to say about everybody else's relationship. Yet when it comes to yours, you just kind of seem to be a passive participant. And I could see if they were just dating regularly, but like y'all are married. So I don't know, y'all. I feel bad for Brett. I really do. And she asked him, what would it take for you to fall in love with me? And he didn't really have an answer. He was just basically like, well, it's gonna take time. But then, like I said, he said, but in my previous relationships, it took me a long time to come around. And by the time I'm just like, just tell her you're not into her. And then, or maybe not, maybe that would make things worse. I think he should definitely talk to the experts and try to figure it out. Like if he is interested in making this work, but I don't think that he is. And I think that it's a waste, and poor Brett, and I think this is going to be the theme, like for damn near all of these couples. Like these just seem like bad matchups. They all seem like very bad matchups. But that's basically it for Brett and Ryan. I think I might mention them like when I talk about the barbecue at Jose's house, but it was very brief, very boring, very much the same of Ryan looking disinterested. Now let's move on to Gil and Myrla. And what I will say, I know I say this every review, they really do have good banter, right? They laugh together, they make jokes together, and they do seem really comfortable together. I don't know if this is just me, but have y'all noticed like they absolutely have bestie vibes? Like I'm not picking up any romance. I could tell Gil would like to, but I'm not picking up romance. I'm picking up bestie vibes. And this is reinforced by kind of what happened at the end of the episode. We'll get into that, but I'm totally picking up that they are just besties who kick it, watch movies, go out, hang out, talk on the phone, and they just have a good time together, but they're not really romantic. Like I said, Gil would like to go there, but I don't think Myrla is into it, guys. At first, I was trying to give her a chance, but I don't think that she's into it. Let's talk about it. So they were playing the question game. Question game, and the love question came up, just like with all of the couples. And Gil asked Myrla what she would need for her to be able to fall in love with him. And she basically said for him to be actionable and for him to be a man of his word. And if he's gonna say it, he needs to be about it, which I feel like he has. And is it just me? I'm so confused. I feel like he has. And so was she saying she needs him to continue doing that? Or did she need him to start doing that? The girl is so vague. And for her to be a person that speaks her mind, she's real quiet when it comes to her feelings about Gil and how to articulate those. That girl Myrla can articulate anything else about how she feels about something and how she doesn't like it and how it's not up to her standards. But when it comes to how she feels about Gil specifically, she can't say it. She won't elaborate. Which it's setting in now. I don't think she's interested. Not like that. And then the question came up like, well, are either of you starting to fall in love? Myrla gave this whole thing about how falling in love is a choice, and you know, she hasn't chosen to do that yet. And I can agree with her sentiments. I can agree that, you know, falling in love and maybe staying in love is a choice. But the question was really straightforward. Are you starting to feel like you're falling in love? You see how she's never straightforward when it comes to specifically how she feels about Gil. She gave some off the wall, oh, it's a choice answer. No, girl, answer the question. Are you starting to fall in love? If the answer is no, say no. And then maybe say why, if you know why. And then when it came to Gil, Gil said, I mean, he said he's on the track. You know, he's on the train tracks. He's not in love. He's not running away from love. But, you know, if things continue to progress how he would like for them to progress, you know, he definitely said he could see himself getting there. And you can see it, you know, just by watching the couple's dynamic. Again, I have that besties note. I have the besties note all through these notes. They just seem like besties to me. And he wanted to give her a foot rub. I guess he wanted to be kind of romantic and jump in there. And Myrla just could not be more disinterested. Like, she was in her phone. Of course, she gave him like a 5. She said he wasn't good at it. And I mean, she was nicer to his face about it. But it's just like, if it's somebody that you're into, the foot rub would have been everything. Like, it would have been the hugest gesture. But because she's not into him, she was just kind of like, I mean, you can, you know? I'm starting to feel really bad for Gil. I really am. It's just unrequited love. Like, she is not reciprocating at all. Like I said, she'll joke and she'll have fun and she'll play around, but as far as like what actually matters him, like them being married and him getting what he needs, you know, to feel attracted, we'll get to that. I don't think she is able to give that to him. Let's go to the end of the episode where she took him to this really nice restaurant that she had really wanted to go back to because she went there once and they had like a Chanel No. 4 drink that she thought was really cute. So she's always wanted to go back, right? And so they're there, they're hanging out. And again, y'all, I'm just getting like bestie vibes. Like, she's just like, you're my bestie. I'm so glad that you came with me. And like, that's really how she was acting. She was like, I'm so happy. If you want to boomerang with me, come on, let's boomerang. I've always wanted somebody to explore with me, kind of like it's like he's her accessory. Like, and this was before he even went on his spiel, before he put her in her place. It just felt like, you know, she was like, come on, bestie, let's go. And she was just so excited to have someone by her side, a companion, to be out and doing these things with her. So it almost seems like you didn't necessarily want a husband, you just wanted a companion to kind of do things with and have a good time. That's what it seems like. She basically was like, I want you to be my brunch husband. Because Gil was like, do you think this is something that I would like doing, you know? And she basically just goes like, yeah, I want you to be my brunch husband. And so again, he kind of starts to be like, you know, I'm okay with doing this every now and then, but I actually prefer to eat at home, cook at home, and be at home. He was like, I'll do it every now and then, but my preference would be to just kind of hang out at home. So let's get to where Gil basically told her where he stands, right? He drew his line in the sand, and he told Myrla that he needs consistency and that he needs to feel wanted. He needs her to want him, and he needs to be able to feel it. And I feel like that was very clear. That was a very clear message to Myrla. It has been building. It has been building. It has been building. And you could tell in the last episode, I didn't really get to talk about it because of my sinus surgery, but you could tell he had started to kind of do this, what's the word I'm looking for? Passive aggressive thing with her. you could tell he was starting to get irritated, and now he's kind of there. Like, either you're going to show me that you want to be with me, or my mind is pretty much going to be made up of what I'm going to do on decision day. And after he basically told her straight up, he didn't mince words. He told her exactly how he felt. And he told her to show him, basically. And she just sat there looking real stupid. And then she said, I just want you to have brunch with me. Now, I don't know if that was edited that way to make her look like that. And it probably was. But for him to bare his soul and basically tell you, this is what I need from you. And for her to just kind of sit there and be like, okay, but I still really want you to go to brunch with me. Like, it says a lot if that's how it actually went. And again, Brett and Ryan, not gonna make it. Gil and Myrla, they're not gonna make it. I think Gil, he's been trying, and he would try if she really tried, but that damn Myrla's not into him. And it's just, damn, he seems like such a nice guy. She's not into him. Another one bites the dust. All right, let's move on to Michaela and Zack, our firecracker couple. I do have some words for Miss Michaela, and I probably will make a Hurricane Michaela video part 2 to make up for last week and all of those shenanigans. But we pick up this episode where things are still really, really awkward and tense between them. And I think after the housewarming, Zack went to his apartment. He tried to call Michaela to talk things out, and then she sent him a text like, no, if you want to talk, we're gonna talk via text messages. You know, I basically being petty, like, I'm no longer accepting your calls. If you want to talk to me, you can text me, right? And so, you know, we all know Zack is very emotional, right? He's in touch with his emotions. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. He definitely wears his heart on his sleeve. He lets you know how he feels. But like, I think he's a really nice guy. I think he is a bit of a hothead. I think when he gets going, you know, he can't really stop it. He can't pull himself out of it. But I won't ding him for being emotional and speaking his mind and saying exactly how he feels. Because I think that's how people should be in relationships. If something is bothering you, you open your mouth and you say it. If there's something on your mind, open up, project, and verbalize it. As opposed to, you know, Miss Michaela here. Miss Michaela really expects him to be able to read her mind. So without going into all of that and everything that happened, let's go forward with what happened in this episode. And so, like I said, it opened up still really tense. And he's still really upset, I guess, because of the last interaction where she basically was like, if you want to talk to me, just text me. And that's how we'll keep this, right? And so I guess since that was the last thing that had happened, that was the thing that was most prominent on his brain. And so he was bringing it up to essentially let her know how he was not pleased with her. Like, once again, he basically gave this long-winded analogy of how he keeps trying things with her and he keeps getting burned. And now he's at the point where he doesn't know what to do, because it's like every time I try something, I get burned. And so she's a very interesting person. Like, she gets so defensive. She just basically, you know, starts gaslighting him. Instead of being like, no, you're right. Oh my God, I shouldn't have done that. I was being really childish and petty when I told you that you couldn't call me and that you had to text me. Instead of being like that, she's like, but did you say what you did? But did you say what you did? And it's like, you are an adult. This is your husband. Y'all are married. Can we just sit down and talk like adults, right? Can you just take your whooping? I bet if she just sat there and she took her whooping and she really seemed like, damn, you know what, you're right, I'm so sorry, I don't know what's wrong with me, he would have been a little more sympathetic to her, right? So they're going back and forth, and it's starting to get really nasty. He's just like, I don't think I can do this. I cannot do this with you. And I really do understand, Zack. Like, if we're just going off of Michaela's behavior from what we've been seeing, I hate using the word toxic so much, but I mean, it has been very toxic. It has been very abusive. And I wouldn't be able to do it. And I don't even think I know anybody personally, any of my friends. I don't think we'd be able to be in a situation like that where, you know, anytime something happens, anytime your partner is displeased with you, they don't even let you know. They just fly off the deep end, go off the handle, leave the house, don't speak to you, ignore you. It's just like, what is happening? And then when you confront them, you're in the wrong. And it's just like, what? Fucking psycho. So I understand Zack. One thing I will say, because Michaela is such a hothead, and I think he figured it out eventually, a little later on in the episode, if y'all are gonna make it work, you are gonna have to stop throwing it in her face. I know it seems unfair, but if you wanna move forward and if you wanna make it work, try to push past it. And he did. He basically was like, listen, I want us to try to make this work. I don't know if we can get back to where we were, but I would like for us to try. And she was like, I mean, I guess we can. Yeah, we could do that. We could do that. It was just a lot. I was really annoyed by her. I don't know if y'all could tell. And I thought she was gonna be one of my favorites for the season, and no, she is not. And so yeah, he asked, you know, if she thinks they'll be able to get back to normal. And she was like, well, you know, I'm taking it day by day. And then I'm gonna read off basically what she said. Some of the things that she said. She talks a good game. She said she's willing to think more before she acts, and she's willing to work on verbalizing her emotions. I wish she would. I wish she does. I hope she does. She talks such a good game, and then when things don't go her way, she just breaks down and turns into this child. So, I mean, for Zack's sake and for her sake, I hope that is something that she really does work on. And so I guess Zack decided, or Zack or her, or I don't know, they ended up going on a date. They went to like this bar lounge place, and things started to kind of warm up again. They were laughing, they were joking, they were playing. Things started to get a little less cold between them. And so they brought up the question game, you know, have you ever been in love? They both said no. He asked her why she hadn't been in love. Her answer was different from what she said initially. Initially, at the beginning of the season, Michaela said that she hadn't been in love because when things started to get serious, she would run the other way. Basically, like she was a commitment phobe. On this episode right here, she said she hadn't fell in love because the person that, you know, whoever she was talking to at the time or dating at the time moved away. So because of distance. And I'm like, are y'all lying? The same thing with Ryan. Are y'all lying? Are y'all forgetting what y'all said? I'm just so confused. But Zack was like, okay, so you've never fell in love because of distance. And she was basically like, yeah. Okay. And so then she asked him, you know, well, why haven't you ever been in love? And then he goes into this whole thing, basically how he has a checklist and essentially how no one has just measured up to his checklist. You can see the look on Michaela's face because it was a lot. And you can see he kind of tried to backtrack a little bit, like, no, it's something I've been working on. You know, I'm a lot better with my list. My expectations are a lot more realistic now. And it's like, are they? I don't know, like, listen, I may not be a fan of Michaela's behavior, but Zack isn't an angel either with regards to being able to make this marriage work. Like I said in buku episodes before, buku reviews. Neither of them have experience in serious relationships, and it shows. Anytime conflict happens, they both blow up. Michaela, the biggest thing of all, cannot communicate to save her life, and if you call her out on it, she just throws a hissy fit and she leaves. And then Zack, while he may be justified in being frustrated with Michaela, he also has a hard time kind of filtering and controlling his emotions and kind of being able to just kind of let things go. So y'all, again, this is going to be another one bites the dust. These people are not going to make it. But let's see what else I have written down. Talked about his checklist, pretty stringent checklist. And so he asked the question, like, do you think you're beginning to fall in love? And Michaela said, well, you know, I was before all of this started happening. She said, I could see how that would have led to that, but basically not anymore. And she said she's guarded now. And, you know, she talks a good game, but man, when it comes to backing it up, boy, is she bad. And Zack basically said, you know, he doesn't know if he's beginning to fall in love or not. Which makes sense with both of these people. Like, to me, I know they are adults, but I do see them as, like, I don't want to say as children, but I do see them as like younger adults. And there's nothing wrong with that, you know, but mainly because, you know, neither of them have even had experience being in a serious relationship. Like, let's not even bring up marriage. Neither of them have ever said I love you to anybody. So their experience in this sphere, in this space, is very limited. And you can tell in how they communicate or they don't communicate, in how they fight, basically. And he said something interesting. Zack said, once he loses interest, he rarely ever gets it back. Like, he said there's never been a situation where he lost interest and it came back, and you can tell. You can tell. Like, you could tell, yeah, he's being nice to Michaela. And he's letting her kind of skate, you know, ha ha ha. But you let her do something similar to what's been getting him in these situations, and you watch how he flips, and you watch how he shuts her out, and he will not be able to rebound. He gave her a G-pass. Maybe he really wanted to try to make it work. But if that behavior continues, Zack is going to be done. And there will be nothing that Michaela will be able to do to get him to turn or change his mind. So that's them. You know, they had like a cute private chef virtual thing. You could tell neither of them cook, which was really funny. But they ended up making a meal that looked edible, so I'll give them that. I will let them have it. Now let's talk about Bao and Johnny. I was incredibly frustrated watching Bao and Johnny, right? This episode, it was incredibly frustrating. Also, the previous episode, Johnny was incredibly frustrating and annoying. What a child. But let's get into it. So they were cooking a meal, and Bao just really wanted to be able to show him, like, she knows he doesn't care. He'll go and eat roadkill. But she wanted to be able to show him that, like, she could take care of him in that way and she could cook for him. So she cooked salmon. It actually looked pretty good. She looked a good looking salad with strawberries, or was it tomatoes or something? It looked pretty good. I couldn't tell if the grain was quinoa or something. It looked tasty. And so they sit down to eat, and Bao wants to have a conversation. They sit down to eat, and Bao wants to have a conversation about Johnny not being ready. Child, why did she do this? It's almost like all hell broke loose. Like, boy, that boy Johnny needs help. Johnny needs professional help. So he basically said, like, You could tell he was really annoyed with her, first of all, for bringing it up, for even attempting to have a serious conversation with him at dinner for things he had said in the past, right? You could tell he was really irritated, but he basically said that he wasn't expecting things to get so hard so fast. And he got scared. And then he proceeds to get really defensive and mean. Like, he got really defensive. If y'all watched it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And like projecting onto Bao. He went from 0 to 100. He told her that she was being judgy. And it was just the weirdest thing, because everything that she said to him, when she was telling him, well, you said you weren't ready and I want to talk more about that, those are things that came out of his mouth. Everything that Bao said to Johnny when she was asking him questions, those were things that Johnny said out of his mouth to Bao. Not only did he say it to Bao, he said it to all the men when he had his whole breakdown, when he cried to Jose. He said it to everybody multiple times. He said it to Bao multiple times. So when Bao had the audacity to question him, he just completely lost his mind and was just being the biggest asshole. It was really painful to watch, and I felt really bad for Bao, and I wanted her to, you know, tell his little ass off. But I suppose she handled it the best way she could, because she knows he's a child. She assessed the situation and she was like, you know what? Let me handle this. But yeah, it was a painful thing. Like, she really has the patience of Job to deal with that man. And so, you know, moving on, they move on to the question game. I think this was like the next day or so. And, you know, have you ever been in love? That question came up. They both said yes. What helped you fall in love? Bao mentioned feelings. Johnny mentioned attraction and the spark and kind of the more superficial things with regards to like falling in love, which says a lot about Johnny. Like attraction and spark and chemistry are absolutely important in a relationship. Are they the things that make you fall in love? Or is it the feelings, like the feelings that you get that make you fall in love? Johnny seems a little shallow. And he talks a good game, but he lacks depth. And what I mean by he talks a good game, like he really, when he gets in front of people, when he gets in front of the other couples, he seems so sweet and considerate and like he really loves Bao. But when you see him and how he interacts with her, actually, you could tell he has a true disdain for her. He does not like her. He's literally forcing himself to like go through the motions. It's like when we were little and we couldn't get up from the kitchen table without eating our broccoli, so we would like begrudgingly eat the broccoli and then be able to leave. Like it seems like that's what he's doing. I wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt and say he was trying, but then at the beginning of the episode when I saw him just completely gaslight Bao and just be disgusting, I was like, no, he's incapable of doing what he says he's going to do, which is to try. Now, do I think that has something to do with him and his daddy issues? Yes. Should that be Bao's issue? No. These people should have consulted a therapist and received professional help before they ran to Married at First Sight to get married. Because this is all falling apart, literally with every couple. Instead of running to get married and a marriage certificate, y'all should have been running to lay on somebody's couch and get help. But, you know, Bao really likes Johnny, and it makes me really sad for her. She is really into it. And he's just not gonna be able to give her what she wants or what she needs, you know, because he's not into it, because he's shallow. Johnny thinks that attraction and the spark is what's gonna keep the relationship going, and that's what's going to pick it up. And I agree, they are really important things, but Johnny, if you can't get the, beyond the surface level, you're not going to get anywhere, not with Bao or anybody else. And now we see why you were single for 8 years, and we see why you've been on so many first dates. Initially, I was like, well, it's normal. He's, in his 30s. But when I see him and how he moves in this context, dating how he has, it is abnormal. And so they did a little more talking about the question game and, elaborated on what more it would take for them to fall in love. And then I think they went and consummated their marriage. I don't know, Bao. I know it's your husband, but girl, I think you are cruising for a bruising. Man, that damn Johnny. But, there was no more pillow barricade the next day. Bao is hilarious, by the way. Her sense of humor just took me out. How he was asleep and she was just having this conversation with the camera, like, no more pillow barricade. It was absolutely hilarious. She basically was like, I'm gonna make my way into his heart like a parasite. It was really cute. And then they did an art night to make up for Johnny. He planned an art night to make up for the date that he flaked on Bao for in college. I thought that was a really cute idea. And then of course, Bao wasn't even doing the most. Of course, Johnny gets annoyed. Why does he get annoyed? Because Bao's just being herself. Bao is very detail oriented. And she just could not let the little inconsistencies in the painting go. And he got so annoyed. And like I said earlier in the video with another couple, if you like somebody, their quirks, their tics, you're just like, whatever, no big deal. You might be mildly irritated, but he gets so upset and he gets so annoyed, like he's not into her. Because if you're into somebody, you give them more grace. She gets none. He just got so annoyed. It was like, I wanted to be, us to be flirting and, building anticipation, and instead she was working on this painting, and it was just like, calm down. Learn to go with the flow. This is your wife. This is her personality. Go with the flow and just have a good time. Breathe. Ugh. So, again, this is couple number 4. They're not gonna make it. They are gonna have a whole season of people that are gonna say no on decision day. Okay? Because if it were up to Bao would say yes. But Johnny's not gonna be able to. He won't even be able to fake it on decision day. So, unless something drastically changes. And now on to Rachel and Jose. So Rachel had an idea to take them on a date to go to goat yoga. And it was basically like yoga with baby goats. And I mean, it was cute. I like yoga. I don't like animals though. So the date idea was cute though. It was cute. And he seemed into it. Like he seemed like he enjoyed it. He enjoyed playing with the goats, and Rachel saw him playing with the goats and connected that to him being able to possibly be a good father. And she was having this whole, dreamy-eyed moment. I was uncomfortable watching. And so they, fast forward a little bit, we get to the question game that all of the couples have been playing. And, the question comes up, what would it take for you to fall in love? And Rachel said she would need more understanding from him, and for Jose to listen to her more. Because listen, y'all, they are not editing Jose like that. Jose talks and talks and talks and talks. And you want to know why? Because he thinks that everything he says adds value and that he's always right. He really thinks that. Like, he really thinks Rachel has nothing valuable to add, because if he did, he would let her speak. He just, again, she's another really patient one. I don't know how she does it. But basically that's what she said. She would need for him to be more understanding and for him to listen to her, for her to be able to progress to love. It's so funny. Jose just thinks he's killing it already. Like, he just knows that, you know, he's it. She's in love. He just knows that he's killing it. But he's not. Like, there's clearly a communication issue. And Rachel pointed it out. Like, who was she talking to? Was she talking to somebody, or was she in a confessional? But she was like, you know, when we're talking, he doesn't give me eye contact. And she also said, like, she can ask a question and he's already thinking about his next answer. Like, basically not really acknowledging her, just kind of moving on to whatever it is that he wants to talk about next. And you can absolutely see it in the episodes. He just goes a mile a minute. He barely acknowledges her. Like, he'll give her the, oh, you're pretty. And then, I mean, he just keeps it pushing. It's the craziest thing to watch. And then they ask the question about, you know, have you ever been in love before? Comes out that Jose has never been in love before. I wonder why. One, he was in a relationship for 4 years with a woman who had children. And he said that's the reason why he never fell in love with her, because he couldn't get past her children. You were in a relationship with one woman for 4 years and you weren't in love? And that was your only instance of being in love? Y'all, I am so sorry. But I'm kind of floating back to my thoughts about Jose when I first started reviewing this. I know it is very problematic to try to assess someone's sexuality from looking at their characteristics, how they present, their attributes. But in this case, I cannot shake the feeling that the reason Jose has not fell in love with any woman that he's ever dated before is because he would probably be a lot happier with a man. I can't shake it. That grown man has never been in love before. Now, I know he's a really picky person, and I know no one's probably matched up to his standards, but think about it. Is it probably because he was dating women? Like, if he met a really amazing guy, would that make a difference? I don't know. I know that's really problematic. Maybe I'll cut this out. I don't know, but I cannot shake the feeling like there's a reason why you've never been in love with anybody that you've dated, if you've only exclusively dated women. And I'll leave that at that. In my humble, I'm probably completely wrong, I'm probably completely off base opinion. And I didn't say this, the fact that he's never been in love, huge red flag, huge. And now this poor girl is married to him. She seems like the most normal person, honestly, out of the whole season. Well, her and Bao. Bao is a little controlling, but she still seems relatively normal. Rachel just seems like a normal girl, you know, and her people said she had issues with communication, but every time I've seen her with Jose, she speaks up for the most part, like when it counts. So then moving on to like the special dates, Jose got her a Scrabble puzzle piece puzzle kit that you could put together and make coasters, because I guess she had been saying that they needed coasters. So I thought that was thoughtful. It was like, well, you don't listen, but you heard that. So kudos to you, sir. He did ask her about the cheating, and she said it was during her 8-year relationship, the one that she had just gotten out of, and it was like 2 years in. And it was basically she was in the wrong place at the wrong time. She basically put herself in a situation where she was gonna lose. And you know, she said it was, you know, she said she messed up. She messed up. People mess up. But of course, you know, Jose is like, well, once a cheater, always a cheater. Hey, I don't know. Is that true? Maybe. I don't know. You know, who am I to say? Who am I to say people can't change? Is it a situation where if she said every relationship she's been in, she's cheated? okay, you probably have cause for concern. But she's just cheated once. It was maybe a year in, and you know, she learned why it was wrong. She learned from it. You know, unless she gives you a reason not to trust her, Jose, you know, trust her. But he's definitely really concerned about her cheating on him. Like, he couldn't really let it go. And if they're gonna actually progress, like for real, it's probably something that he is gonna have to let go. Because he was like, well, what if you want to go on a trip with your girls? Like, how am I supposed to trust you? And she was like, you're just gonna have to trust me. And it's true. What am I gonna tell you? You just gonna have to trust me, honey. And if you don't trust me, well, I guess we're not gonna work, you know? And so then at the very end of the episode, I guess Rachel told Jose that she loved him. And apparently he said it back. I'm watching the episode like, why y'all lying? Y'all are both liars. Why y'all sitting up here lying like that? Y'all just gonna lie. Y'all just gonna tell a bold-faced lie to the cameras like that you're in love, Rachel and Jose, you're in love. That's a lie. Jose ain't never been in love. He just said it. He was with a lady for 4 years and wasn't in love with her. So Rachel, how in the fuck would he be in love with you? And Rachel, you are a lie too. You are not in love with that man. Y'all getting on my nerves, but I'm gonna let it slide. Let's move on to the barbecue at Jose's. There's only a couple high points and then I'll be done. In and out. Of course, when Myrla walks into Jose's, of course Myrla was like, honey, I don't do barbecues. I don't really like going to other people's houses. So aside from this little barbecue and this little event, I won't be doing this anymore. That lady is funny as hell. And listen, outside of this, like if I met Myrla out and she was just cool, I mean, she's cool. Yeah, she's a bit of a complainer, but like, she's cool, she's funny. You know, she wouldn't be like my bestie, but I could see her being cool because she's just hilarious. The lady's hilarious. So of course, Gil's friendly self kicked off the conversation about the love stuff. And of course, here comes Johnny's diplomatic ass answer. Johnny is like, what did we used to say back in the day? Johnny is two-faced. Johnny has two faces. You get two different people depending on when and where and whatever is happening. It's just the craziest thing ever. So he gave this diplomatic ass answer. Oh, we had a tough time, but now we've come together. And I'm annoyed by all of you people. They asked Gil if he's finally gotten a kiss, and he took it on the chin. You know, he took it on the chin, and he made jokes. It was really funny. You could see that Brett was kind of starting to allow herself to come to the realization that Ryan's not into her like that. She was seeing how the other couples were interacting, and you could see it setting in, or her allowing herself to come to the realization like, oh my God, this man ain't into me. And then they talked about like the couples that were gonna say I love you first, and everybody was like, oh, Johnny. And I was like, child, if y'all really knew Johnny, yeah, it was funny while y'all were saying it, but yeah, I'm sure it wasn't as funny for Bao. Well, she did make a joke, I don't know. But that's basically the end of the episode, right? To sum everything up, I don't think any of these couples are gonna make it. One or two may fake it at the end and try to make it past decision day, but these were bad matchups. I am at the point now where I think Lifetime just casted these people for TV. This is not at all for love. These people were casted for ratings. It certainly seems like that. And let's see how the TV show unfolds from here on out, right? But that is the end of my review. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for sticking around. And please like, please comment, please consider subscribing, you know, if you've enjoyed the review. And I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much. Bye.